Why would he do that? Does he want to bring them in as refugees? Was the CIA waiting for them with open arms, with the Red Cross to bring them to Maine? What is going on in our country? You know what's going on. You got to be a damn fool not to understand what's going on. You know, there was an allegory written hundreds of years ago. The king has no clothes. And only one person dared say the king has no clothes. Well, I said the king has no clothes for years now. I say it with gusto in Government Zero. The king has no clothes. What has to happen for you to realize that not only does the king have no clothes, but he may be wearing the garments of the enemy? He is allowing the murderous thugs to get away with murder, and now he's bringing in more refugees, amongst whom there will guarantee by the law of odds. Even you liberals can understand that simply by the law of odds, amongst the thousands of Muslim men that Obama is engaging with such care and such compassion, while of course rejecting Christians from Syria, only Muslims need apply. Why is he bringing them into this country when we all know that amongst them, by logic, some of them will be terrorists, some of them will go terror. And if they don't, then their sons will. And if they don't, and their sons don't, then their son's son will. You know it and I know it. But he doesn't know it. Now, concurrent with this royalist mentality of let them eat cake, I posted another story this morning that was a moment of astonishment for me. There was the First Lady of the United States of America dancing in a red dress, dancing the conga on Broadway at a workshop with her mouth open, having the ball of her life. This is 3 days after Paris. This shameful First Lady exhibits herself in such a manner. My headline, Michelle dances as the world bleeds. 25,000 people reached on Facebook. The First Lady invited 40 performing arts high school students to the event, which was attended by Gloria Estefan, Andrew Lloyd Webber, and Whoopi Goldberg. Shame on all of you. Shame on all of you that you would debase yourself like this at a time like this. So you have a lunatic in the White House. You have a First Lady who is saying let them eat cake. And now he's going to bring in more Muslim refugees. Why would Hossein Obama first warn ISIS drivers before dropping bombs on the trucks? Tell me why. Why would he do this? Is there one progressive person out there who can explain why your president would do a thing like this? Because there's only one explanation, which is to make sure they come back to fight another day. Any other reason for that? Obama tipped off ISIS fuel truck drivers before dropping bombs on the trucks? Why is that? So there's your commander-in-chief. What you'd expect from a community organizer who never fired a Daisy BB gun. Are liberals awakening to the threat? Yes. Yes, they are. You don't hear about it from men like Jake Tapwater. You don't hear about it from Jake Tapwater. I have a friend whose father is a hero, a war hero. He fought in World War II. He's 90-some-odd years old, still living, still working. His father walked through Europe. He was part of the Normandy invasion and walked through Europe all the way to Germany. And he's been a lifetime liberal, as are many ex-military lifetime liberals. You don't know that. But I know that, because men who have tasted war, men who have seen people's guts shot out, usually are very anti-war, incidentally. He's been a lifetime liberal. And yet even he, this lifetime liberal, who I admire enormously, has said no, he shouldn't let any refugees in from Syria. Even a liberal has said that. But not the president, not Hillary Clinton. We have a disturbed president in the White House. I believe he is putting not only the United States, but the world at risk. Today we wake up and we see that the Department of Justice, instead of saying they're announcing actions against Muslim refugees in America, they've attacked dietary supplement makers. This is a totally insane administration. They're crazy. DOJ to announce actions against dietary supplement makers at a time like this. They're at war against vitamin C. Germany, Netherlands game canceled for security reasons. Bomb scare outside stadium. Merkel and cabinet were expected to attend. Merkel should be arrested for war crimes. Merkel is invading her own nation. I told you that 2 weeks ago. You know, it's possible that I have a prophetic streak in me, isn't it? I think it was 2 weeks ago that I said that Merkel and Obama are invading their own nations. I used an example of Hitler to get your attention. Hitler was a monster who unleashed his Germanic Nazi view upon the world, and he invaded other nations. Merkel and Obama are equally insane. They're invading their own nations with foreigners who will never, ever assimilate into the nation, who do not respect their traditions, their culture, their religions. So what would you say? They're nuts. They're psychopaths. And yet we sit here and keep our mouths shut and say, well, we'll wait for the election. What do you wait for the election? What election? How can you wait a whole year for this lunatic? No, we need to convene an immediate medical board to determine his sanity. That's what I think. I'm not wrong. I know I'm right, but it'll never happen. You have cowards on the other side. Now that Boehner is gone, the whipping boy of the conservative media, who's there now? Ryan? What has Ryan said recently? Nothing. Another one, a repeat, a chip off the old block, that's all. Obama's 2015 golf and family vacations cost taxpayers $3.115.688 on airfare alone. Daily Caller. President Obama, Frito, racked up quite a few frequent flyer miles in 2015. A Tuesday report from Judicial Watch claims that President Frito took 3 unnecessary golf and family vacations this past year, and American taxpayers footed the bill. According to the new information, it travels to just Palm Springs in June, New York City in July. Well, New York's nice in July, and Martha's Vineyard in August cost a cool $3.115.688.70. That's all. Bush opposed to blocking asylum for Syrian refugees. Now, what more do you need to know about Jeb Bush? Jeb Bush just said he does not support blocking Syrian refugees from seeking asylum in the U.S. Now, I want to ask progressives to call the show, not to have an argument. It's a waste of time. It's bad radio to just argue for argument's sake. Can anyone listening to this show tell me they're in favor of bringing in Syrian refugees and why? I'd like to hear one good argument. I don't know of one good argument. I don't understand one good argument for this in light of what happened in Paris. Now, of course, I was opposed to it before Paris for logical reasons, but now after Paris, even progressives could come to understand that they're suicidal for wanting to bring in men of military age who are Muslims from Syria. Why would he be doing this? Now, who was the first to say build a safe area for them in Syria, have it protected by the United Nations, and don't let them leave? Now Trump is saying what I said. He says build a beautiful safe zone for them in Syria. It's right out of my show. Half of what Trump says comes from my show, for God's sakes. Do you know that? I am so glad that Donald Trump thinks so highly of me that he listens to the show, or he may have one staff member whose full-time job is to take notes from my show and my book. I'm glad to see that my ideas are getting out there. Here, look, build a big, beautiful safe zone for them in Syria. I said that first. I said it 3 weeks ago. We don't need to take them in. I said instead of bringing refugees to the U.S., you build a big, beautiful safe zone in Syria. Well, he has it mostly right. And he didn't get the rest of my show, apparently. The aide who wrote it down didn't finish the story. I said build a tremendous safe zone. But apparently Trump didn't hear the rest of what I said. I said have it protected by UN troops. They have nothing else to do anyway. Put UN troops around the safe zone to protect the Syrian refugees. Build a city, a whole little city, tents, houses, give them hammers and nails, and then they can stay there, and then when the ISIS is destroyed, they go back to their cities. But you don't bring them to America, do you? Terror fear hits Germany, just announced that a while ago. They disrupted a soccer game. Germany-Netherlands game canceled. Paris attacks. Hanover Stadium evacuated after police received tip of explosive attack. Security heightened around Europe as David Cameron, that's a joke, says the UK must cut off the head of the snake. Yeah, very. Then he went back to having a sherry at the club, the Sherry Netherland. I will personally push for Syria airstrikes. Another one. He'll drop dummy bombs on ISIS. He'll drop bombs with Guinness Stout in it, probably. No, I mean, this is what the kind of leadership we have. We don't even know if he's dropping bombs with explosive ordnance. It could have Guinness Stout in it. German Interior Minister match canceled due to evidence of concrete threat. Concrete threat? What, they're going to drop concrete on the stadium? For safety of the people. See, now we're already sissies. Now the whole West is now, all ISIS needs to do now is make phone calls. They call every airline in the country, bomb, that's it, flight canceled. Every concert, bomb, canceled. Every dance, bomb, canceled. They broke us already, because we haven't broken them. You know the answer. We need Mr. Pershing. Old Pershing or Patton is what we need. Instead, we have Patton leather.
Be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now. 855-400-SAVAGE. 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or Swiss America. All right, so this shows you the deranged mentality of this administration. I know you say you've heard it all before. No, in a time like this, you're not going to believe this story now. Here, at the end of the show, take a guess who President Obama is giving a Presidential Medal of Freedom. Not to a veteran who threw himself on a grenade to save his buddies. Not to a war hero. Not to a clandestine CIA agent who has risked his or her life to protect innocent people, but to Yogi Berra, a baseball player. And take a guess who will be at the awards ceremony on November 24th with a deranged president. Filmmaker Steven Spielberg, actress Barbra Streisand, and other losers. Other losers will be there giving Yogi Berra, who died, by the way, on September 22nd, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. You know, I've talked before in this program about the optic chiasma. It's an anatomical structure in the brain. I remember when I was a young biology student, I was very surprised to learn that we actually see things upside down and backwards. But that God, who created us, created an organ. It's really not an organ, it's a nerve, called the optic chiasma, that takes in the images, like a view camera, old view cameras, upside down and backwards, and reverses it so that we see it as it actually is. When you have an individual in the White House who has no optic chiasma, he sees things upside down and backwards and thinks he's seeing it correctly. He's deranged, in other words. He's structurally flawed. Play Frito for us, because, again, I want to repeat, this is a Shakespearean story, what we're witnessing in this country right now. In a Shakespearean play, there might be three sons: the strong son, Sonny, the wise and calculating son, Michael, and the loser son, the weakling, who sounds like this.
Send Fredo off to do this, send Fredo off to do that. Let Fredo take care of some Mickey Mouse nightclub somewhere. I can handle things, I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want the stakes.
And Frito in the White House has a much better voice. He really is Frito with a booming voice. He was blessed by God with a booming voice, but in essence, he's Frito. Calls the Paris terror attacks a setback. Listen to Frito in clip 4 and tell me if I'm wrong.
As I outlined this fall at the United Nations, we have a comprehensive strategy using all elements of our power: military, intelligence, economic, development, and the strength of our communities.
Okay, Frito, right.
We have always understood that this would be a long-term campaign.
Yeah, right, okay.
There will be setbacks and there will be successes.
Okay, right.
The terrible events in Paris were obviously a terrible and sickening setback
to Frito's agenda. It was a setback to Frito's agenda. Maybe they told him they wouldn't do it till he was out of office. Maybe some rogue groups in ISIS did this. It's a setback to his agenda to bring in as many of them as possible while he's still in has the ability to do it. ISIS, according to Kerry, says that it's not a religious war. It's about psychopathic monsters. Bernie Sanders is owing to global warming. Hillary Clinton, jobs, and global warming. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a clear choice before you: to save yourself or to commit national suicide. Do you want government zero, or do you want a government of the people, by the people, and for the people?